In August we do our largest fundraiser, and that's parking cars. We park cars a lot and are pretty good at it. We've parked for George W. Bush's Republican rally when he was running for re-election. It was the largest Republican rally in the history of the country. We parked over 22,000 cars in a 6 to 7 hour time period. So we park cars every August for the tennis tournament, where all the big name tennis players come and play in a tournament that's held in Mason, Ohio at the tennis stadium. For the last several years, the tournament has been 19 days, and we work there night and day. We start at 7 in the morning, we don't finish until after midnight. For me, as a manager of one of the parking lots, I have to be there the entire time, so it is a grueling process. Our students each worked last year over 26 shifts each, and a shift is about 4 to 5 hours long, and the parents worked 13 to 14 shifts. So it's a huge fundraiser for us. It raises approximately 1/4 of our operating budget, and we park cars on a golf course. So you really have to kind of know how to park the cars around the greens and crazy places that you park vehicles on the grass. In August of 2001, I was parking cars at the tennis tournament and almost lost my life. We were parking and 2 storms collided over the stadium at the same time. Virtually we got 4 inches of rain in about an hour. I was directing traffic out the back road, and water was up to my mid-calf on the road. So that's how much water was running across the road, and we were just trying to get the traffic out. One of our students were trying to go to their car, which was underwater. We had 20 cars actually floating on the golf course because of the amount of rain that we got. I was screaming at Jessica not to go near her car, and she kept going, and I kept screaming, "Don't go near your car," and kept stepping closer to her. I eventually stepped off the side of the road because you couldn't see where the side of the road was, and was immediately pulled down into a 24-inch drainage pipe under the road, and I was completely underwater. The harder I tried to push my head above, to get my head above water, the more the water current was pulling me into the pipe. I realized that I was dying, began to think about my funeral, began to think about the kids that watched me go under, and then I heard an audible voice tell me to let go, at which point I quit fighting and immediately was sucked down into the pipe under the road to the other side, and was actually spit out the other side of the pipe like a water ride. How I had the clarity to know to relax my body so I would come to the top for air was beyond me. I came to the top, gasped for air, and immediately saw a tree that I knew I needed to pull myself up into. Started grabbing branches, and they would break, and the current was pulling me towards another culvert that was going under Interstate I-71. That I would have died in. Finally got a branch that held and pulled myself up into a tree. When they finally found me, they said I looked like a little koala bear up in the tree. My shorts were down to my knees, my bra was around my neck. It was not a pretty sight as I was screaming for someone to come help me. A volunteer from Home City Ice, Scott Connor, came over and saw me and said, "Lady, give me your hand." And I remember screaming at him. I said, "You can get a whole team of firemen here, but I'm not coming down from the tree." They eventually got me out of the tree and took me to the emergency room. I had extensive bruising basically from my shoulders all the way to my feet. I had extensive cuts on my feet just from going through the pipe. Basically they said what the water and the pipe did to your body, you went through a meat grinder. It mutilated your body, tore your muscles. When they took me into x-ray, I couldn't physically move my legs. So they were sure that I had broken a hip and my right leg was broken, etc. When I came out of x-rays, absolutely nothing was broken. They couldn't believe it. Even the doctor said, "Do you understand that you should not be alive?" They figured I was underwater for 3.5 minutes, and there was not a drop of water in my lungs. So technically the doctor said you should not be alive, you should not be breathing, and the fact that nothing is broken is even more amazing. I did have a huge hole in my right leg in the side and that basically a screw that holds the pipe together actually went through my leg and then cut down the back of my leg, so I had stitches in my leg. Basically, the backs of my calves were black. They weren't even black and blue, they were just black, and my skin was falling off. It was probably a good 6 months of recovery, of healing from that process. The big question everybody kept asking me is, are you going back to park for tennis? And I was like, absolutely, it's too good of a fundraiser for us. So I'm back every year. When it rains up there, everybody I think freaks out more than I do. Like, where is she? Is she freaking out because of the rain? But it's obviously a sign, I think, from God that He's just not done with what I'm supposed to be doing.